We're back on KC 101 in our studio. Glen Campbell joining us, 95 years old, be turning 96 in July, and I'm learning all about his life in Tioga County and what life was like in the early days and the one-room schoolhouse that he was in. And you'd show me some pictures before he went on the radio, and one of them really caught my eye. You and Monty Hall. What's going on with that? Tell me about your life and how Monty Hall got involved.
Well, they was going to move from an NBC studio to St. Paul Winter Carnival up there, and so I was asked to haul the show, and so I pulled in an NBC studio that morning, and of course the company man was there, and with Monty Hall talking, and of course with me, I'm always joking all the time anyway, so I hollered over and I said, what would you do with make a deal with me? I said with my hands in my pocket, what I got a hold of, and he says, what you got a hold of? And I said, I ain't going to tell you. And then he laughed, and then, anyway, I had a picture taken with him beside my trailer, and he was really nice, and he says, now, you're going to stay with the company or the show? And I said, yeah. And so went to St. Paul there. He said, well, you call me up when you get ready to get settled down. He says, and I'll set it up so you can come to the show. Well, I went to the show and watched that and stuff, and then later on, of course, I had to pick up a lot of the props and stuff, put back in the trailer to take back to NBC studios. So anyway, I worked backstage last 2 days picking up all the props and putting them away and stuff, and so I had quite a job of handling the props on backstage there and everything. But he was a really excellent person, very, very congenial. Boy, I'll tell you, couldn't ask for a better, nicer person.
Well, what an experience. That was probably back in the 60s, I'm guessing? 1960s, maybe?
65, I think it was.
Yeah. Wow, really neat. Anybody else famous that you got to meet along the way?
No, just, so the guy, I was trying to, Carol Miller, I met her different times because she was backstage once in a while. She was the woman that was on the program, and then the guy, the little short, stubby guy, I'm trying to think of his name, but I can't think of it right now. But he helped move stuff around and everything, and he was real nice too. Well, Carol, she was nice too, really.
Sure. So tell me about your youngest years, your childhood memories. What did you do for fun, for entertainment? Did you go to the movies often, or did you have to kind of make your own fun, or what was it like growing up as a teenager, I guess I would say, or school-age person in Tioga County?
Well, some of the worst parts was having to go to the outhouse in January when it's colder than son of a gun, and then snow on the ground. But as far as enjoyment, well, we didn't have a lot of other than sled riding downhill and playing ball and stuff like that. And I don't know, we didn't watch television because there was no television, but we'd listen to the ball games and stuff on radio, and I had to kind of fantasize what they was doing, you know.
Radio was a big thing when you were a kid.
Yeah.
I mean, do you remember your first TV set, first time you saw
TV?
Yeah,
I worked for the forestry then in 1950, I think it was, or 51. We didn't have electric. I lived in a state forest house, and I had me a little generator, and I had so I could buy a 17-inch Admiral television. And then I made my own antenna, and then I got television. And then the only thing that made it bad was it only held about a quart of gas, and once in a while it would be getting interesting, and all of a sudden the generator would quit, and your television would quit too.
You have to go back out and start the generator back up.
Yeah, fill it up and just start it up and continue watching television again.
How often did you go to the movies when you were a kid? The Arcadia Theater was here when you were a kid?
Not too often, but I remember the first time I can think of was we lived in Dance Run, and I think that was 1936. And I never forgot it because my brother that got killed in the Navy and we hitchhiked to Wellsboro, and it was Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. I never forgot it. And it was a beautiful day. We went up, and and we wasn't dressed for real cold weather, and we come out, and I'll be a son of a gun if it wasn't snow on the ground. And of course, there was snow on the ground in the movie too. And
Yeah.
we had to hitchhike about 8 miles to home.
So was hitchhiking a common thing when you were
Oh
younger?
yeah, walking. It was nothing to walk. A lot of times when I lived up on Pine Creek Road, it was about 6 miles to town. And never thought nothing about walking to town to get to see things or whatever, you know.
6 mile. And would people just pick you up randomly back then?
Well,
Was
once
it?
in a while you get picked up. I know we lived about 3 miles from Thumptown, and we bought all our groceries up there, and we nothing to walk up there and get groceries and walk back 3 miles. You know, you never thought nothing about walking. Then I remember one time when Wayne Keltz, he was sheriff and back at that time, and Harry Farber, he was a deputy. That was the only two in the field at that time. And I was walking home one time, and Wayne, he stopped and he said, "Where are you going?" And I said, "Going home." And he says, "Well, jump in, I'll take you home." So he took me all the rest of the way home. I don't think people would do that today, you know,
No.
police departments. I suppose a lot would be because on account of the insurance clause.
You never know who you're picking up these days, but
Yeah,
back in your
yeah.
time, I guess the teachers kind of kept everybody in line, and people were.
Then Harold Webster, he was a cop in Wellsboro back when I was a kid, and later he was chief of police. And he'd every time I got in town but he'd always come around. And he'd say, talk to me, and then he'd take me into Walt Campbell's restaurant and buy me a ice cream cone. And he'd say, "Now behave yourself while you're down."
You didn't get yourself in trouble as a kid, did you? Were you a good kid, or?
But he was a heck of a nice cop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this has all been very interesting. I guess anything else you'd like to share before we wrap things up here? Because I mean, we could talk for days and days, but I wanted you to share some of your
yeah.
life and your early memories. And this
Yeah,
has
I
been
could talk all
fascinating.
day on my life. I've had a really good life. I mean, besides boxing and playing ball, I played ball in the county league there. I played baseball at first, and then later on I pitched softball later in years, and I struck out 3 good batters one time there at Mansfield. They went to Harrisburg in the state finals, and I always been active and been pretty fortunate having good health.
Mm-hmm.
And
You certainly seem to be in great health.
Yeah.
95 years old,
yeah.
and you pulled your own chair in to sit down.
I haven't taken any commercial medicine other than booster shots there. I haven't taken any commercial medicine through the doctor in probably 12 years anyway yet. And I'm a person, I believe in, natural products. And I always said God put everything on earth for a purpose. And I remember eating a lot of different kinds of stuff that just grows wild, like dandelion greens, milkweed greens, milkweed pods, wintergreen, spearmint, to name a few. I could name a lot more too, and all that stuff is beneficial for you. And so I'm a natural person. What I mean, I won't take medicine if it's any way possible. I take it out, taking research on.
Do your own.
And
take care of yourself,
yeah.
and I guess
And
if it's gotten you this far, you're doing something right.
And I take vitamins. And the doctor said the other day, I go once or twice a year for a checkup, let him know I'm still around,
Yeah.
And the last time I went, he says, "You're in excellent health for your age." He says, "I don't know what you're doing, but," he says, "whatever it is, keep on doing it." And he said, "Your blood pressure's up a little bit, but not bad." He said, "I could put you on blood pressure medicine." I said, "No." I said, there's other stuff that's good for blood pressure that's natural. And I said, your body is not used to chemicals and stuff, but it is natural products. Mm-hmm. So that's the way I believe,
Sure.
I believe God put everything on earth for a purpose, and all you got to do is know what it's good for and eat it.
Uh-huh.
Well,
you've got some great advice there.
Yeah.
Again, Glen Campbell, thank you so much for joining us and telling your story and learning about all these, all this interesting stuff about what life was like here.
Yeah, I hope that I could be around there another 10 or 15 more years. To tell
Well,
you some
I
more.
sure hope so too. We'll have you back every 10 years. How about that?
I've had a good life. I can't complain.
Well, just what, 4.5 more years, we'll be turning 100. We'll have to have you
Yeah.
back definitely for your 100th birthday.
Yeah, I always remember one thing. They interviewed a guy one time that was 100 years old, and they said, "Boy, you've been around. You've done a lot." He says, "You must be really smart and everything." He says, "And intelligent and a lot." He says, "Well, yeah, but," he says, "I wished I knew as much as I knew when I was 16."
Thought you knew. Well, great. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Pleasure.